Crazy. Waves. Anyways, Plato's Cave starts out like this.
I like that voice. Keep using that voice. I like that.
Yeah. There's a kid running through a small
He's going to tell us every
area.
play, bro. It's about to be 90
There's a kid
minutes.
running through an area, and you see this kid carrying a small lantern. He's running through this little small rock area. He runs in, and there's this other guy telling a story to a group of kids sitting around him, and he's like, oh shit, and he sets the lantern down, and he's like watching this guy, and the guy's like, okay, so, and he's telling the story using shadow puppets on the wall, and he's like, there's this landscape with a good king, and one day there comes a day where there's no more sheep left to feed the dragon. So they decide, okay, we're going to have to feed somebody from the village to the dragon to keep it from attacking the city. Mm-hmm. So the wizard draws a lottery, and it just happens to be the daughter of the king, the beautiful daughter of the king. So she has to get fed to the dragon. So the day comes, and they're like, okay, we got to take this chick to the dragon. And they're dragging her through the city streets. The wizard's like walking her on her horse. And the hero's like standing on the ground. He's like, no way, they can't feed the princess to the dragon. Like, that's not fair, And so he's like, what do I do? And then all of a sudden he's like, I'll fight the dragon. And he like stands out of the crowd. Mm-hmm. And the kid that came in with the lantern like says the words at the same time. Plato's telling the story on the stage. Mm-hmm. And Plato's like a kid about our age. And so then right after he's like, I'll fight the dragon, the little kid says that at the same time as the guy on the stage, Plato. He like kicks over the lantern and fire like spills out on the ground. And so Plato's like, oh fuck. And he turns around and there's this like fire out in front of all the kids. And so he takes off his cloak and he's like, oh shit. And he like covers it up and it like burns it through. And then right then the siren goes off. So all of a sudden, throughout the entire cave, all of a sudden it's like, just super long, Mm-hmm. Feel free to fill in the siren noises if you want to. And they're like, what the fuck? And he's like, oh shit, kids, go home, run home. So the kids all start running. And they're like, okay, let's go. So he grabs Ash, the kid with the lantern. And they make their way out the same way that they came in. And now they're running to the cave. And you back out and you see Maya, which is where they live, the cave, Plato's cave. So they're running through the different levels. In the first level, there's business owners. They're shutting up shop because the siren is constantly going on in the background. It's like, boop. They're like, I don't know shit. And there's, like a worker here and he's closing up shop and there's a kid running out with a watermelon. He like stole a watermelon from the shopkeeper. And the guy's like, hey, come back. And another guy like presses his droids and they start watching over his shop because it's closing up. They're closing up, because of the siren. They don't know what the siren smell. And it keeps going off in the cave. And they're like, what the fuck? So Plato and Ash are like, all right, shit, let's run. So they're running to the business area and some guy's like, hey, what's this siren mean? And he's like, oh shit. And he notices Plato's wearing really nice clothes. And this guy's like wearing worker clothes. And he's like, oh, sorry, my lord. And he's like, yeah. And they just fucking kind of fuck off. And the guy keeps going. And Plato and Ash keep running. They're running through the crowd. And they're around the corner. And there's a birthing clinic. And in front of the birthing clinic, there's like a bunch of women coming in. And they're like protesters on the outside. And the protesters are like, hey, you don't have to do that. That's not, it's your right. You don't have to give birth if you don't want to. And there's women that are going in the front and the back. Their babies are coming out. So there's like women that just gave birth coming out the backside. And there's like government workers that are both protecting them from the protesters and taking the babies. And they hop on this little shuttle and they take off. And the new parents are standing by and they're like sad that their babies are going down the shuttle, but they're like, this is how things are. Plato and Ash run past them. This is the birthing clinic. And now they go to the first scanner. The first scanner is a bronze level scanner. And it's just a guy that's kind of hanging out like a sentry. I go on. So they run through the 3 scanners. They go to bronze, silver, and to the gold scanner, and they meet up with their mom. At the gold scanner is the light sentry. The light sentry is like, oh shit, oh man, it's just too much. It's too much. It happens so much visually.
I'm listening. No, it's cool.
Let's see. What are the key
points? I love
it. They get out.
I'm enraptured. It's good.
You're not paying attention. Shut the fuck up.
So they run.
You describe what just happened.
They run through the bronze. They run through the bronze scanner. Let's just start where it is. They run through the bronze scanner, and the bronze guy's like, "Who the fuck is this?" And it scans Plato real quick, and it's like Plato, the fucking prince of the cave. And the guy's like, "Who the fuck is this kid?" And the guy's like, "That's my prodigy." And he's like, "Oh shit!" So he goes. He punches in the code and lets him through the bronze scanner. And they run in the bronze room. In the bronze room, everyone has these gauntlets, right? Mm-hmm. So they're talking into them to communicate with each other.
Okay.
So they can do they have like micro, they're like radio waves. So they're able to talk to each other. That's the only capability it has. So the bronze people are like, hey, what's the siren mean? Whoop. And the guy's like, oh, here's one of the royal family. I'll ask him now. And she's like, hey, Plato, what's the siren mean? And he's like, doesn't even really acknowledge the bronze chick. And he's like, I'm about to go find out right now. And he's like, oh, who's that? Or what happened to your cloak? She says. And he's like, oh, Ash always starting little fires or whatever because his cloak is all burnt. So they run up to the silver, and the silver guy's a little more protected. The scanner's a little better and a little nicer, and they go through the silver scanner. And he's like, who's this? And he's like, oh, it's my prodigy. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. So he punches him through, and they go through the silver scanner. In the gold section, they have the same sort of the silver section, they have the same sort of gauntlets, but not only can they talk to each other, but they can access some sort of their version of the internet in the cave. So it's the archives, so they can punch into the
better
archives.
Communication.
Well, they can punch into the known knowledge base inside of Plato's cave.
Right.
So the same sort of thing happens. A silver person walks up and is like, hey, Prince, what is going on with the siren? Boop. And he's like, I'm trying to run up to figure that out right now. So like we're going to the next level to figure that out. And the cool thing about the script is because I have the siren written in constantly, it's like it will force the audience during the visual part of it to stay engaged because like it's forcing you back audibly into the storyline because the siren's going on. And that's the exciting thing. So
It's like metronomic, yeah.
Right away.